Are you looking to purchase your home under the council right to buy scheme? If you are, I'm going to share with you some of the stages of that process. Before I do, let me introduce myself. My name is Howard Bowes and my company is Harvey Bowes Mortgage and Finance Brokers. We're specialists in a number of different areas, including the right to buy scheme and helping people to purchase their homes with a mortgage. We're based in Cardiff and we serve people on a nationwide basis, giving advice and recommendation from the whole of the market. Let's have a look at the different stages that one needs to go through. I'm going to show you in 6 steps the basic process of a council right to buy mortgage. The first one is making the decision to buy. Now that's a very important thing because it is a long-term commitment to buy the property. The advantage is that if you continue to pay your mortgage over the whole period, you will eventually own that property, provided of course that mortgage is on a repayment basis. The disadvantage is that your home may be repossessed if you do not keep up repayments on your mortgage. And so that is a decision that has to be made and can't be made lightly. So first of all, consider whether you want to go through the process and you want to make that decision to purchase the home. The second is to inquire with the council. Now this is a little bit chicken and egg. Some people might suggest you talk to a mortgage broker first. But the reason we suggest you talk to the council is you need to substantiate how much discount you're going to get. The discounts have recently increased in many councils across the country, and you might be eligible for more than you consider. There again, unfortunately, it could be less than you consider as a discount. The discount that you get is based on the person who's been in the home the longest. So if there's 2 people on a council tenancy, the person who's been there the longest is the person that's earned the discount for both people that would be applying in that instance. The next is to talk to a mortgage advisor. So here at Harvey Bowes, we're specialists in dealing with this among other areas of mortgages. And what we can do is go through the affordability with you. We can look at your circumstances and we can make a decision with you as to whether we can recommend that you move ahead and purchase the property. We'll go through the figures, we'll give an indication of what that can cost. And we'll discuss any other aspects of the purchase process that you would want us to. Once we've given you that information, and we'll give you various different documents for you to take a look at and read through and digest the information, things like an initial disclosure document which tells you about us as a company and the advice that we give, how we're regulated, etc. We'll also give you a key facts illustration as long as we can make a recommendation to you. And the key facts illustration is a document that will highlight all of the important figures for the mortgage that we're likely to recommend to you or would be recommending to you. Once we've done that, we suggest that you review that decision again, because you now have all the facts. You know how much you can purchase the property for, within reason, because there will be a council valuation at the point of applying for a mortgage, and then that will determine exactly what the sales figure of the property is and therefore the discount. But also you'll have the figures of what that will cost you. At this stage, everything is still indicative because of the slight variables there might be. So just to review those variables again, when the council value the property, they may value the property at slightly more, slightly less than you're actually considering as a purchase price. Now we can do plenty of homework to find out what that cost is going to be, and so can you, hopefully knowing the area in which you live, knowing perhaps some of your neighbours or other people who've also bought houses, similar houses, from the council or housing association, should be able to get a guidance on what that property is worth. But until the council's valuer comes in and makes a decision as to what it's worth, you're not certain as to what that's going to be. Once you've made that decision after your review that you're going to purchase your property or you're going to move forwards and try to purchase the property, the next thing to do would be to formally approach the council, put your application in to make that purchase. Once you do that, they will send you out all the forms that you need. And if you need help from us as your mortgage brokers, we can help you to complete those forms at that initial stage. After that time, and once those forms have come back to you, we can then apply for the mortgage. We can't do that until the council's own valuer has been out to value the property, so we know and we can determine exactly what the figures are. At that stage, We will manage the whole process for you if you want us to, including filling in the forms for the mortgage company, although you can fill them in yourself if you'd like to. And once we manage that process, we'll get the lender to produce what's called a mortgage offer. Now, any mortgage that you get will be subject to credit check and will be subject to a full assessment of your affordability. So mortgages are available subject to status. Now, once you have a mortgage offer, assuming your application is successful on the table, you're then in a position to move forward with the legal process. That's because you now have your council forms and you have your mortgage forms. And then you need a solicitor. The solicitor will go through the purchase process with you. They're the people that will make it legal, and they're the people that will handle the funds from the mortgage company. Let me show you how that works. First of all, you've got your paperwork from your local council. And once you get the paperwork from the local council and you apply to your mortgage lender for the mortgage, you then have your legal company, your solicitors, that will take care of the solicitor side of the process. Now, as mortgage brokers, we sit in the middle of this process. And what we do is help to coordinate all of these people working together so that you're able to continue with your purchase transaction. So, the solicitors, they will take the funds. So once we've arranged the mortgage, so we're liaising with the mortgage company at this stage. And once we've arranged that mortgage for you with whichever lender is most relevant for you and your circumstances, then the lender will pay the money that you're borrowing to the solicitor. And the solicitor then, handling all of the legal paperwork and all of those aspects, it is the solicitor that will then pay the council on the day of completion. And on the day that transaction happens, that's the day that you formally own the property. The solicitor then takes care of registering you as the owners on land registry and all the other legal matters that are part of the process. So what sort of discount can you expect? How does that sort of work? Well, the discounts vary from council to council and of course for how long you've been at the property. So all I can do is give you pure indicative terms here. So just give you an example of what might happen in certain circumstances. So let's say, for example, you've got a property that is worth, on the open market, to keep the sums nice and easy, about £100,000. And that is your property value. And let's say, for example, that your council will allow you to have 10% discount per year that you've been at the property. Now these are always capped, so let's say you might have been there 15 years, but that discount's capped at a maximum of 5 years worth. So that would mean you'd have a 50% discount on that property purchase. And if you had a 50% discount, that would mean that the price you paid was £50,000, okay? So the property's worth 100,000, but you're paying 50,000. So automatically, you have equity in that property. Assuming those figures, of course, are correct, you've got equity in the property. The equity you've got is the difference between what the property's worth on the open market and what the council will allow you to buy it for. In this example, being £50,000. That would give you £50,000 worth of equity. The mortgage company will lend you the £50,000 in this instance, provided, of course, that was affordable to your individual circumstances, but they would lend potentially the full amount that you need to purchase the property. That's because you've still got plenty of equity, and they accept this equity as your deposit. In effect, it's a gift from the council, a discount that you've earned by living there and continuing to pay the rent up to that stage. So you would then be able to borrow, as we say in theory and according to affordability, all of the money to make that purchase. And in that instance, there are very few fees that you need to pay, but there are fees, of course, that would need to be paid. So let me tell you what fees you need to pay. First of all, your mortgage broker will charge you a broker fee for arranging the mortgage. And typically, the broker fee that we would charge for arranging and managing this type of mortgage for you would be £1,000. That fee is payable partly when we start the application and you accept our recommendation, and partly on completion. Now, according to circumstances, we would normally ask for £300 to begin the process and then £700 at the end of the process, just as an example. The initial disclosure document, the first document that we would give you once we start talking to you, and way before you commit to any of this process, would tell you exactly what the figures would be according to your circumstances. You're also going to need to pay solicitors' fees. And it's the solicitor themselves that will give you a quotation and their terms and conditions for how much the solicitors will cost you. But as a very broad brush, you should really estimate that that's going to cost you approximately another £1,000 to include their fees, searches, etc. And so that's an indicative idea of what costs you've got there. There will also be fees charged by your mortgage lender. So you may have to pay a valuation fee, and that will vary according to how much your property is actually worth. And there may also be booking fees and other fees that are applicable for the lender. Some of those fees can be added to your loan, and some of those fees will need to be paid up front or as part of the process. Now, normally, the broker fees, as we say, £300 when we start the process for you. That's when we start the formal process for you, and we put in the mortgage application forwards. And the £700 then be on completion. Solicitors will normally want their money just before completion. So not when you start the process, but towards the end of the process of completion. They may want some money from you up front to cover the cost of the searches. And that would normally be around £300 up front at that stage. We can't tell you how much the valuation is going to be without knowing how much your property is. So you'd have to inquire individually for us to break down all of the costs that would be involved in you purchasing your own property specifically. I hope you found this information useful. It's just giving you a quick overview as to how the council right to buy scheme works. We'd love to take your inquiry and talk to you individually about your own circumstances and what's possible for you. Please get in contact with myself, Howard Bowes, at Harvey Bowes Mortgage and Finance Brokers. Thank you.